Dialogue are imminent, aiming to expand participation further. Third, like many IDA countries, Ethiopia faces unemployment and a skill gap challenge, with the government prioritizing accessible education to empower citizens while encouraging youth engagement in startups across various fields. Investment in skills and education is central to Ethiopia's 10-year development plan, with a focus on sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism, expected to cover over 2 million new jobs. Fourth, universal energy access stands as a cornerstone for sustainable development. As it stands currently, half of our population is still without access to reliable electricity. We are massively investing on clean and renewable energy generation projects, which aims to accelerate universal access to affordable and reliable energy for all our people. Despite possessing over 60,000 megawatt potential from our diverse renewable energy sources, realizing this capacity demands substantial investment. Fifth, the digitalization of economies holds immense potential to enhance connectivity, spur innovation, and expand access to essential services. In Ethiopia, mobile money and digital payment systems have expanded financial access in Ethiopia. The National Digital ID program we have launched is also a crucial step towards our digital transformation, greatly improving public service access. Lastly, as stewards of our planet, we must prioritize efforts to build a livable future for all. The Horn of Africa faces escalating threats from climate change, including rising temperature, food insecurity, and extreme weather events. Ethiopia is actively countering this challenge through its Green Legacy initiative, prioritizing afforestation, reforestation, and environmental conservation. With over 32.5 billion seedlings planted towards a goal of 50 billion over 2 phases, Ethiopia aligns with global agreements like the Paris Climate Change Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Excellencies, while the international development associations' existing support must be commended, the sheer scale for challenges many African countries face necessitate a renewed approach. With 120 million people, Ethiopia has great potential for prosperity. Yet, as a key recipient of IDA support in Africa, Ethiopia faces a significant financing shortfall that may hinder its progress. Meeting the goals of IDA 21 replenishment is vital to accessing essential development funds and driving Ethiopia toward its maximum potential. We urge IDA to significantly enhance its financial capacity and funding models, specifically increased support for crisis preparedness, response, and recovery is essential. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very happy and excited to invite to the stage Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, our host, Chairperson of the African Union, President Mohamed Ghazouani of Mauritania, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, President of the World Bank, ladies and gentlemen, I thank President Ruto and the government of Kenya for the warm hospitality extended to us and commend him on successful hosting of this summit. Last December, Tanzania hosted IDA 20 midterm review meeting, which among other things highlighted the impact of IDA financing. In addition, to emphasize the need for an ambitious IDA 21 replenishment, Tanzania reiterated as its appreciation for IDA's collaboration, which has helped to improve maternal and child health indicators, rural electrification rates, access to safe drinking water, and economic recovery more broadly. We believe that it should be a collective effort to highlight both the impactful success stories of IDA and the potential that IDA still has. Indeed, IDA has great potential to help its recipients to leverage resources from other partners. For instance, in Tanzania, we have an infrastructure project in Dar es Salaam called the Msimbazi Basin Development Project, which benefited from World Bank support worth $2 million. Having secured these resources, Tanzania has already been able to leverage an additional $60 million from other partners for this project, which aims at strengthening flooding or flood resilience and integrated urban development in our economic hub. Excellencies, in a bid to consolidate and building on the successes obtained during IDA 20, we are pleased to advance this most important dialogue on IDA 21. We are doing so at a time when Africa and the world are still facing the effects of multiple crises. In light of this crisis, coupled with significant shortfalls in development finance and shrinking fiscal space, what is required in going forward are more concessional resources. Moreover, considering the challenges related to present projected debt levels, we strongly believe that IDA 21 should focus more on providing concessional loans, such as the 50-year credit loans. Given the present debt architecture on the continent, these facilities would provide more fiscal space to African countries to address competing development needs. Additionally, in the forthcoming IDA 21 cycle, it is critical that policies are simplified and operational processes are streamlined. This is a matter that has a bearing on the access to development finance, the indirect cost of finance, and the achievement of the development objectives within the planned framework. Excellencies, all what would be discussed during this meeting are underpinned by investment in our human capital, which drives innovation and growth. And this is where my brother President Museveni was talking about. Africa needs transfer of technology and technical know-how. It will be recalled that in July 2023, Tanzania, in collaboration with the World Bank, hosted the African Heads of State Human Capital Summit. At that summit, we committed to investing in people for improving productivity and building inclusive and resilient economy. We believe that the commitments highlighted in Dar es Salaam Declaration on Human Capital are relevant and merit IDA's support. Excellencies, history attests to the transformative potential of IDA support for countries to transform and graduate. We expect the same spirit to guide us ambitiously in the IDA 21 replenishment. It is on this basis that Tanzania also calls for an ambitious IDA 21 replenishment that matches Africa's development aspirations with the resource needs. Once again, we commend IDA partners for their support and call upon them to honor their pledges to foster economic development and improve living conditions. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Allow me to invite to the stage His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, the President of the Republic of Burundi.
Excellences, Monsieur Samuel William Ruto, Président de la République du Kenya, Excellences, Monsieur le Président de l'Union africaine et Président de la Mauritanie, Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la Banque mondiale, Excellences, Monsieur le chef d'État et de gouvernement, Excellences, distingués invités, Mesdames, Messieurs, permettez-moi de commencer mon discours en rendant gloire à Dieu qui nous a permis de nous retrouver dans cette belle ville de Nairobi et d'adresser mes remerciements à mon homologue et frère William Ruto pour l'accueil chaleureux et fraternel qui nous a été réservé depuis notre arrivée. Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, à l'instar d'autres pays, le Burundi se doit de redresser la tendance pour améliorer les conditions de vie des Burundais qui reflètent les inégalités sociales, d'opérer une transformation économique de manière à augmenter et diversifier la production sans entraver l'équilibre écologique, de maîtriser la démographie galopante et de pallier aux effets du changement climatique. Le peuple burundais s'est donné un pari de l'émergence en déjà 16 ans à travers sa nouvelle vision d'un Burundi émergent en 2040
in Burundi
and
was developed in 2000. The Burundi people have also, beginning with the young, have also started fighting against and are looking towards sustainable development. So it is in this light that Burundi rejoices to be accounted amongst the partners, amongst whom in particular the World Bank. So the Burundi greatly appreciates the intervention of the World Bank over the years. Burundi people have the socio-economic growth. Now the financing and to have sustainable impact in the energy sector, economy, the environment, education, health, community development, infrastructures for transport and social development, context where our economy had been touched by shocks and whose effect in COVID-19, the Ukrainian conflict, the world fiscal condition, climate changes, and to all this we can add the sanctions that Burundi has known since 2015. Now in 2023, this year was particularly marked by some slight improvement in our economic and in the service sectors, the putting in place of social infrastructure, and also abundant agricultural production, thanks to the cooperation that was lent to allocation that improved to the different sectors. Now, this effect also had in the improvement of performance in Burundi that is also seen in that improved for the 2022-2023 fiscal calendar, and which has been improved as we move to 2023-2024. This performance on our capacity also comes from the efforts and the reforms that have been initiated by the government, and especially in the summit meeting that enabled us to follow up on the projects, and also the strengthening of dialogue between the government and partners using the national strategy in the development cooperation, the strengthening of the budgetary discipline in state institutions, and also microeconomic reforms as part of our achievements. In the case of certain projects, I would cite the dynamic coordinating team for projects, and also the diligence, the communities that also were also part of this team, and also in terms of fertilizers that we have had and seeds, and also the putting in place basic social infrastructure, and also integrated community development projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, with the new gap that Burundi has fixed, priorities that my country is looking at as we take part in IDA 21, and environment health in face of climate change, and such, especially on reforms in terms of economic governance and statistics, as well as development of important Ladies and gentlemen, in such an exceptional context, we have also been able to know that our tools in the industry are sometimes obsolete, and this also has an impact on production, and also the need for social economic integration, the effects of climate change in particular, and especially the rise of Lake Tanganyika waters. We have had floods as well. These all lead me to advocate positively for aid out
pour le financement de la stratégie nationale de réintégration socio-économique durable des personnes sinistrées récemment
people who have been affected, and this includes a project of retention of human labor. So we are confident the investments and the actions that are foreseen in the priority areas that we have identified that are in coherence with our 2024-25 vision and the objectives of development that allow for transformation in the continent will find favor with our technical and financial partners, with the World Bank, and also as we look to have economic growth. I'd like to end and as I express our thanks to the efforts of our leaders, and also reaffirm the commitment of Burundi to play its role to ensure resilient and inclusive growth. I thank you all for lending me your ears.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Allow me to move swiftly forward and invite the President of the Republic of Madagascar, Your Excellency André Rajoelina. You're welcome to the stage.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République du Kenya, Excellences, Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, Monsieur le Président de la Banque mondiale, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants de l'IDA,
ladies and gentlemen, representatives of leaders and institutional financial institutions, and Your Excellency,
Mesdames et
our
Messieurs,
lenders, ladies and gentlemen,
je tiens tout d'abord
I would like for all
exprimer ma
to
gratitude
express my
et mes
gratitude and my thanks
au Président et au
to
peuple
the
kenyan
President and the people
pour l'hospitalité à l'endroit de ma délégation et moi-même
that my
depuis
delegation
notre
and my
arrivée
team have received
ici à
since our
Nairobi.
arrival here in Nairobi.
Je félicite le
I'd like
président
to
William Ruto
congratulate
pour l'organisation et
President
la Banque
William
mondiale
Ruto for the
pour l'organisation
organization
régulière
and
de
the
cette
World Bank
réunion
for
de
the
haut
regular
niveau
organization
qui
of this
réunit les
high-level meeting
contributeurs de
that
l'IDA,
reunites the contributors
bénéficiaires
and the
pour
leaders
renforcer
and
la
the
solidarité
beneficiaries, and also to
et
strengthen
construire
solidarity
un avenir
and
meilleur
to
pour
have
le
a better
continent
path for
africain.
our continent, that is
En
Africa.
effet, ce sommet nous
In
permet de
effect,
nous
this
exprimer
summit
pour
allows us to express
renforcer
ourselves, to
les
strengthen
financements des
the
pays du
financing
continent
of the
africain pour atteindre
African country
nos
pays,
objectifs de développement
also to help
et
us
pour soutenir
attain
les
our
peuples
development
qui endurent
objectives and
les
sustain the
conséquences
people
du changement
lives through the
climatique.
consequences of climate
La
change.
participation de
The
Madagascar
participation of
à
Madagascar
cette réunion est
in this
primordiale
meeting is
car cela
important
me donne
because
l'occasion
that
de
gives me
soutenir
the
l'impact
opportunity
considérable
to
des
talk
projets
about
de
the
développement
important,
de
considerable
Madagascar
impact of this
financés
project
par la
in
Banque
Madagascar
mondiale
that
à
is
travers
by the
l'IDA.
World Bank IDA.
Comme vous le savez,
Like you
ces dernières
know,
années, les
in the
conséquences
later
du changement
years, the
climatique
consequences of
sont
climate
de plus en
change
plus
have become more and
dévastatrices.
more
Je
devastating.
profite d'ailleurs
I'd
de
like
cette
to take this
occasion
opportunity
pour
to
exprimer
express
ma
my
solidarité
solidarity
aux
with the
peuples
Kenyan
encore
people
aujourd'hui
who are still going
les
through
conséquences
today
des
the
inondations
consequences of tragic
depuis plusieurs
flooding
semaines.
for a number of weeks
À
now.
Madagascar,
In
les
Madagascar,
cyclones
the
sont de plus en
cyclones
plus
have become
fréquents et
more
violents.
and more
Comme vous
frequent
le savez, mon
and
pays
violent.
est fortement
Like you know, my
exposé au
country
changement
is
climatique.
really exposed to climate
surtout,
change, and especially
l'emplacement
when we
stratégique
talk
de
about the
Madagascar
strategic
et le
position of the
caractère
country
insulaire de mon pays,
and the character
vulnérabilité
of
de
our
la population.
geographical position of our country
Le
makes
dernier
us more
cyclone
vulnerable.
Yamane, en début de
The
cette année
last
2024, a détruit
cyclone
le
into
nord de mon pays.
just destroyed the
Kilomètres
north
de
of my
routes
country.
détruits.
Kilometers of roads
Des
were
milliers
destroyed.
d'hectares de terres agricoles
Thousands
ont
of
été
agricultural
inondés et
land
ravagés.
was
Et en
flooded
2023,
and
en un mois
destroyed.
seulement,
And
4
we have just in a year we have about we've had about 4 successive cyclones. So that I'd like to share with you that in one day the cyclones ask for need at least 2 to 3 years of reconstructions. Yet in that, in the light of climate change, in the south, in the of the mountain, we have seen a diminution of the lands are arid and do not allow the people to fill them well and also to meet their basic needs. Families are living in, we have thousands of children who are also malnourished. Ladies and gentlemen, dear leaders, you know that each day for decades now, Africa faces fratricide to fight against poverty because this leads to deaths. We need more financing to be able to combat this, to win this war. Today, on the African More than 215 million children are suffering from underdevelopment and malnutrition. Like the African Bank of Development says, malnutrition is one of the causes, one principal causes of mortality of children under the age of 5. The daily reality of more people is touched by this tragedy. Now, in the light of such an obstacle, so the solutions that will look at investment in population, and that means that we need to be more powerful, that is more powerful and missiles. I'd like to thank the World Bank and its leaders for having given us the means to combat malnutrition in Madagascar. Today, you may not know the military expenses as 2023 went up, highest in over 10 years. So we'd had up to millions of dollars, and we are also suffering the effects of the war in Ukraine. But I have a question. We have invested $2 billion for $2.14 billion on arms, but how much are we going to invest to save lives on the African continent? So I now to invite our partners and like-minded countries to commit finances to fight this war that we fought, fight daily on the African continent, to develop and construct the Africa that we want. I am persuaded and convinced that with solidarity and international cooperation, we can have tangible solutions to this problem. Dear partners, I would like to share with you that since I became the head of Madagascar and since the beginning my second term, the cooperation with the World Bank have allowed for an positive evolution, for growth, and also to reduce the rate of crime in Madagascar, coming from 40% to 38% currently. So we are able to reduce it further, the level of malnutrition in Madagascar, by another 4%. So I am persuaded that in a number of years we are going to have at least maybe 30 in maximum. We'll be able to eradicate malnutrition in Madagascar. In the south of my country, a resilience program has also been put up, dealing with agriculture, water, and local governance. More than 2 million people have benefited from health services and nutrition, with at least 450 communities that have been strengthened. However, the investments in the system, in health system, have allowed us to save a number of lives. Money transfers and other social effects have also allowed us to come to the aid of more than 5 million people in 65%, amongst whom are 65% women. I'd like to thank the World Bank for all these years of collaboration, for financing that has been and have allowed us to improve our development on significant projects, and with our emergence program in Madagascar, and the results are palpable. I'd like to cite a few examples. Through the main town, and also the construction of strategic roads, which has eased access to agricultural areas and the markets. So we have Madagascar has been existing. We have always had the problem of inaccessibility, but right now the road is tarmacked and it facilitates access of people and goods. This program has impacted and changed the daily life of the population in this region. You know that in Madagascar, about 80% of the population are agriculturalists, but unfortunately, the land does not belong to them. It is for this reason that I have this Kicc project that has allowed us to distribute at least 2 million land title deeds of agricultural land, which represents 40% of the population. This will allow the exploitation, the farming, and benefit from the national heritage. Land is sacred, and it is part of our identity. Despite these major advancements, we still have complicated obstacles, and resilience is becoming more and more difficult. Madagascar needs more financing, and it has to be consequentially financing to help us tap to the resources that accumulated over the decades, and also to have electricity made accessible to the population in the big towns. The majority of African population, about 65% of Malgache families, do not have access to electricity. It is for this reason that we have put in place a program to electrify each home through a program which we call Azavana Wano, or Light for All. We have decided each household in Madagascar has a solar kit. So our objective is within a year and a half, for more than 4 million households will have this kit to light up their houses, and thus will also lead us to an economy that will see $950 million that which is spent in, and that is about $2 per home for this lighting project. So this is what we are talking about on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, dear partners and leaders, like I had said, and I have just done so. So all this investment is to support. It is not only where we are functional. We also have a number of the harms that are devastating us: hunger, famine, natural catastrophes, illnesses, and most of them are brought about by climate change. These are the kind of harms I'm talking about that are touching us annually, and each day there are millions of children who succumb to malnutrition. Millions of people die of hunger. And we also have others who do not get adequate access to health because as they suffer from the devastating effects of climate crisis and change. I'd like to invite us leaders to also improve from the World Bank, because Africa has many obstacles to face, and also enable the countries to catch up in terms of development. May our voice go out as an echo. May it also speak about our engagement as we a future for all, and together we'll be able to make a difference. Together we transform poverty into a prosperous future, and with a dignified for our people, so that all generations, the lead generations, depend on what the leaders do today. Thank you to our partners, partner countries, and also to the contributors to IDA. Your aid is determinant in development, on the African continent, and as such, for a country like Madagascar, we support this for our country. So long live today's leaders who are bringing development for tomorrow. Thank you very much for your attention.
Merci beaucoup, Votre Excellence.
Thank you so much, Excellency.
Next head of state to address us, I'd like to recognize the presence of the former Prime Minister of Kenya, Mr. Raila Odinga, and the Chief Justice of Kenya, Martha Koome. You're both welcome. Allow me to ask His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Mr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, to come to the stage.